Hello and welcome, viewers. Thank you very much for joining. If you want to know how you can become a registered nurse, how you can help people, how you can care about people, how to really care about family and other stuff, stay tuned with us. In case you don't know me, my name is Dr. Ijaz Qureshi from Toronto, Canada. I have joined hands with GSE Foundation, which is on the mission to empower 1 million global social entrepreneurs to fish for life. We teach them by providing quality entrepreneurial education. Stay with us. Today, our esteemed guest is Mara Ahmad, and she is a registered nurse. Let me bring her on. There she is. All right. Welcome, Mara.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I'm sure viewers, you have seen Mara before in other programs. She reads Quran over the Facebook Live, and she does talk shows. She interviews, and she is a very dynamic person. I had a chance to talk to her last Sunday. She filled in for my host in the English language class that or speaking show that we have. And I thank you, Mara, for that. I really needed that help. Thank you so much for jumping in.
Oh, thanks for having me on there too.
All right, so let's find out. Mara, please tell us about yourself. That what happened? Who were you surrounded with, and how you got inspired to do what you do today?
Okay. Well, my name is Mara Ahmad, and I am a registered nurse in a state called Wisconsin, which is in the United States. It's kind of in the north central part of the United States. U.S. is very, very big. Um, I am a mom. I have two kids, and for me, I feel that like my passion is about serving other people. And so that's always been a passion of mine since I was a child. You know, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a mom, so I could take care of my kids. And so I started with that. And I had also become a medical assistant for back in 1996, where I worked for physicians and stuff. And I did that for, gosh, probably 10 years. And then my son I had adopted, and then my daughter I ended up adopting in 2006, and felt my role as a mom needed to increase. So I went ahead and left work at that time, and I became a stay-at-home mom. As my kids grew and started going to school, I felt that it was time for me to go back into service of, and I liked the medical field. So I went back to school to become a registered nurse. Um, that was, gosh, back in 2010, I had started doing that. Um, and I did it very slowly because I wanted to still make my priorities be my family. So I would do it very part-time so that way I could volunteer in my kids' classes and kind of have a good balance between life and school at that time. Then I went ahead and graduated back in 2016 as a registered nurse, and I've been working ever since.
Awesome, that's great. That's great. So you embraced Islam, right?
I did.
Several years ago, and you are a revert. We welcome you to the religion.
Thank you.
You're our sister, and so tell us how was that experience? I mean, what did inspire you to embrace Islam, and how did all that started? And where are you today? Who you got help from, or what happened?
Okay, so back in in 2012, I had gotten in a divorce from my first husband, and I had been married to him for 17 years. And then after that, I was single, and I was still going to school, being a single mom. And then about a year later is when I met my husband, or my ex-husband now. We just recently got divorced. He's from Pakistan, and he was a Muslim, and I was a pretty devout Christian. I was very involved with the church. I was serving in women's ministries. I had organized a program that taught kids the Bible and an after-school program up at the elementary school. I was also involved in children's ministries, so helping the kids learn about God. And I wanted to make sure if I was going to be marrying a Muslim that I would at least make sure that there wouldn't be any conflicting issues between our faiths, because I didn't want to marry and have our faith be a problem between us. So I decided that I was going to at least like learn about what is this Muslim religion, because at the time I didn't even know that Muslim and Islam were part of the same thing. I thought there was a religion of Muslim and there was a religion of Islam. That's how little I knew about Islam. And the more and more I read, and I try to do kind of a cross reference. So, like, I looked at how Christianity looks at Islam, and I looked how Islam looks at Christianity. And then I read about like Christianity from an Islamic standpoint and Islam from a Christian standpoint. And then I also just studied about Islam, because all your materials are going to be biased depending on where they're coming from. If it's a Christian writing about it, they're going to like not look at it in as positive of a light as a Muslim. And I didn't want bias, to lead me to it. So if I was reading stuff that was just put out by Muslims, of course, it's going to be very pro-Islam. What I found was that the Muslims had so much more respect for the Christianity religion than the Christianity had for the Muslim religion. And as I also read through, the Quran and stuff, I was like kind of in awe that, like, wow, like this more associates with the beliefs that I already had. Because I had some concerns, like if Jesus, peace be upon him, was truly God, why is he getting on his hands and knees and praying? Also, there was some hypocrisy that I had found in the Bible or in Christianity, like things like it was okay to eat pork. And they would say, well, it was in old law that you couldn't eat pork. But when Jesus, peace be upon him, died on the cross, it eliminated that need. And the thing that I had a problem with, in the same area of the Bible, it also talks about homosexuality. And so if you're going to allow you all of a sudden to eat pork, wouldn't you all of a sudden allow homosexuality? Why can you pick and choose, which part of the old law you still have to follow and which one you can go ahead and ignore? So to me, I thought that was a little bit hypocritical. And I realized that I had more of my beliefs already associating with Islam. I just didn't know I was a Muslim until I had learned those kind of things. And that's when I decided to go ahead and take Shahada and became a Muslim back in May 2013. I am a Muslim, alhamdulillah. So
That's great. That's great. So, Sister Mara, please tell us what activities you are involved with today. Like, what are you doing in your life? I know you're a registered nurse.
mm-hmm.
So, what kind of activities you are doing?
So some of the things that I do, like I do have like a job, my full-time job in which, I support my family. And right now that's doing private duty vent care nursing. So I guess I'm an entrepreneur in that sense because I don't work for anybody but myself. I work for my patient. And I can schedule myself with whatever patients I want, and then I go ahead and bill the insurances myself. Before this, I was working full-time as a clinic coordinator for a Muslim Community and Health Center. And I still do volunteer in that role periodically. Like when a doctor needs training on the electronic health record, they want an RN to teach them. I also do patient teaching, like if there's complicated teaching on diabetes, they need to have a licensed professional be able to do the teaching on how to like give insulin and those kind of things, because we need to be able to assess their capabilities of self-monitoring their diabetes. I also do staff in services and trainings on how to like do EKGs, how to draw blood, how to give injections, those kind of things in the facility. And then I sometimes will teach in the senior center different classes. I've done a cooking class about heart healthy foods and those kind of things. Other things that I enjoy doing, I like photography. I like being involved, with my children, being involved in their school activities. Like my son was a wrestler. He was a state ranked wrestler, so he's really pretty good at that. My daughter's a cheerleader, so, I'm going to all of her games and watching her cheer. She's also involved in gymnastics. And so those are some of the things that I do. I also enjoy cooking. I cook both American food and I go ahead and cook Desi food. So I learned that because I had a Pakistani husband and he wanted, Pakistani food. So I know how to make biryani. I know how to make like chana. I know how to like make curries and all kinds of stuff.
I was about to ask that question. That can you cook biryani? And you answered that already before
Yeah,
even me asking question. That's awesome. That's awesome. Maybe I have to come to Wisconsin and try out your biryani someday, Sister Mara.
inshallah, inshallah. I cook it the Hyderabadi style. So like I
Oh,
make,
Hyderabadi style. Okay, so a
yeah,
spicy one, eh?
a little bit spicy, and
Yeah,
I have the meat raw in the bottom, and then I take the half cooked rice and put it on top, and then I cook it.
correct. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's one of the ways of making biryani. I do make biryani myself as well.
Well, then maybe you should
So
make it for me too.
sure, when I'm there, maybe we can cook for each other and
Absolutely.
try that.
Yeah, I have nahari right now in my refrigerator, and so like I just made that a couple days ago. So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
nihari is good too. Yeah,
yep.
korma, nihari, biryani, those are the three top dishes that I like.
Uh,
You know, yeah, but unfortunately, I have to be away from those because I got my liver transplanted in November, mid-November. So
okay.
I got to be away from that. You know how
Fattiness.
bad it could be. All right. So, for our viewers, Sister Mara, can you please tell us, uh, our viewers who want to become a registered nurse,
Sure.
what they should do or what process they have to follow? What is the minimum education qualification they have to have in order to become a registered nurse? What is the process? And it's fine
I can tell
for
you the
United
requirements
States.
for the United States because I
Yes,
don't know what the requirements are necessarily
that's
in
okay.
other
That's
countries.
okay. Yeah.
So in America, the minimum requirement of school is you have to have an associate's degree to become a registered nurse. You can be an LPN, which is a certification, and then you do get a license, but you're limited into your practice. So, while an LPN, which is a licensed practical nurse, or it can also be called a licensed vocational nurse, is a nurse that will have to follow the care plan that the registered nurse has put into place. So the registered nurse is required to do like the initial planning, the initial assessment, and any discharge planning. And then an LPN can go ahead and follow the orders of the registered nurse and implement those things that have already been taught. But the RN can go ahead and do the planning, the assessment, the teaching, and discharge planning. So to get a RN, you have to minimally have an associate's degree in nursing. And typically, it almost takes as long as a bachelor's degree because there's so many prerequisites, at least at the school that I went to. I had at least a minimum of 2 years of prerequisites before I could go into the RN program full time, which was a 2-year program. So it took me it would have taken me 4 years if I was full time the entire time. But it took me, I think, like 6 years, 5.5 years actually. And I went ahead and got my associate's degree. You can get your bachelor's degree, which is through university versus like a technical college. And you will have your bachelor's degree right away. But as a associate's degree nurse, a lot of employers are more than happy to pay for you to go to school after you're done with your ADN program, and they'll pay for you to go like online in order to get your BSN, which is very much more cost effective. The average cost for university per semester is about $15,000 to $20,000 versus a semester at a technical college is between $1,500 and $3,000. So there's a significant cost savings. And then once you're done, if you work for a larger medical facility, they're going to pay for you to go to school to get your bachelor's degree.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. So, viewers, you heard the process of becoming a registered nurse. That was specifically for the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Each country, each region has their own certain standards, minimum qualification requirements, et cetera, licensing requirements, exams, things like that. So
Right.
please try to follow those in order to become the registered nurse. I have been in the hospitals for a long time, and I admire how great these nurses are, to be honest, in order to take care of the patients and how they deal with the patients, and especially in ICU and wards and things like that. They're awesome people. I really don't have words to explain how thankful I am in what services they have provided to myself. And I'm talking to you about my personal experience with the staff, and everyone, every single healthcare professional, be it a doctor, be it a nurse, be it clinical staff, be it
Even being a janitor
janitor. I was coming to
or
that.
food
You know,
service.
exactly. Food services. Oh my God. They bring hot food like right on time. I mean, you can fix your time on the watch, when they show up, and here
Hmm.
they come with the tray, and the food is really hot and
Right. And the hospitals can't run unless everyone is equally doing their job correctly. You know,
that's right.
so many people, think that like, oh, that's a lesser job, the janitorial staff. But if that hospital is not immaculately clean and all those germs are thoroughly disinfected, you're going to have an increase in illness and their patients' outcomes are going to be bad. They can die because if it's not cleaned properly and they're going into a room where there was a really bad bug, that patient can get sick. If the patients aren't getting their food service and the correct nutritional food on their plate and that patient's not eating, you need to have good nutrition in order to get better, So it's so like every role is equally important. They're all different. And people will ask me all the time, what's the like difference between a doctor and nurse? Doctor looks at things like from a diagnostic and treatment perspective versus a nurse is like looking at like advocating for the patient. And sometimes doctors speak medical jargon way too high of a level and the patient's like at this level and it's the nurse that has to translate a lot of the time. And then also like let's say doctor has a mindset that, oh, we're going to have to do it this way. And the patient's like, no, I don't want to do it this way. I want to do it this way. And the doctor's like, no, 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 no. The job of the nurse is to advocate for the needs and the wants of the patient and to fight for them. Because you know what? When you're sick, you're not feeling well, your voice isn't as loud. So that's the job of the nurse is to be that voice of reason to the doctor to say, hey, we need to like respect the wishes of our patient.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. And when my food used to come at the hospital, I would eat out the other stuff, leave the veggies there. So the nurse would come and she would just check on me and she would say, "What happened? You didn't eat the veggies. You got to eat the veggies. You have to eat them now." And I would say,
Good
"Thank you,
for her.
mom. Thank you, mom. I'm gonna eat it." So yeah, that was quite an experience. So thank you so much, Mara. You have been in the industry. You have been taking care of people. You have a great soft heart. You feel for people and you're helping them. I really salute your services that you're doing. So now, please tell us. Now, you said you are your own boss, right? You
I
don't have
am.
to report to anybody. You don't have to really wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and trying to get ready to go to the hospital and work for 12 hours.
I
Here
do
in
work
Canada,
12-hour shifts though.
there are 12-hour shifts
Yeah.
in US too.
Oh yeah. Like,
Same
but
thing
I
here.
I can set my schedule. Like if I were to work in a hospital, I'm forced to work whatever they need me to work, and then they can force me to work mandatory overtime. You
That's right.
know, and so it's really frustrating because like as a single parent it's not very flexible, and to try to find childcare at this drop of a hat because I can't now get off can be very difficult. So this gives me a lot of flexibility that like I work only of the days that my child is in her dad's custody, and then I go ahead and the days that she's off I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Good, good. So, so please tell us now, since we talked about your business, what are your plans to grow your business? How are you going to grow it? How are you going to take it to the next level?
As of right now, I have no desire to grow it to the next level because my priority is still my children. And I think that's important to recognize what is the needs of your family at the time. If I get to the point that I want to get close to retirement, I can add more days. It's not like a business in the sense that I'm owning a home healthcare services facility. Not that I couldn't, I could eventually get to that point. But as a private contractor where I go and work for my own patients, I can also do some teaching. You know, if I go ahead and get my bachelor's degree, I can teach CMEs, and I can also help as a consultant. I can create care plans. I can, like, let's say I have a patient that's just being discharged for a hospital. They need a care plan. They need to know how to do this different kind of wound care for them, per se. So I can go in and I can show them how to do it themselves, you know. Or if I have a patient that needs infusion therapy, I can go and set up the lines, give them their daily infusion therapy, unhook them, and then I go, and then I can go back another day. But I can schedule my own self whenever works best for me. And it is a pretty, in America at least, the pay for nurses is pretty good.
Good. Yeah, that's the important part, right?
Yeah.
Financial freedom, right?
Yeah.
So you have established your own business, Alhamdulillah, Mara, Sister Mara. And what would be, according to your opinion, what would be three actionable steps that others can take to implement in their own businesses to really get successful?
Okay, so I think that you need to make an assessment of your life situation to realistically see, you know, so make a plan, you know, of what is going to work best for you and your family and your financial needs. And once you have that plan, you can go ahead and then implement it based upon your plan. You need to be professional, you know, like, because if you were in business for yourself, you're representing essentially your brand, yourself. And if you're not acting in a professional way, like being on time to your client or being on time to, yeah, it's a client either way, like my patient or your client, they can lose respect for you. And why should they choose you over somebody else? You know, make yourself differentiate. And if you're always on time, you're always giving them respect, you're always acting professional, they're going to want to continue to do business. Otherwise, they can find 10,000 other people that can do the same job that you're doing. You're just doing it better than everybody else. And number three, I would say, probably just be consistent. Don't give up. Don't get frustrated. You know, like there's going to be days that are going to be awful and you're going to go, oh, what am I doing this for? You know, because it becomes overwhelming sometimes, you know, like if someone calls in sick and I've like worked so many extra days, like 12-hour shifts are long, you know, and they get exhausting. Or I have a crabby patient, you know, but I have to recognize, you know, if I have a crabby patient, they're not at their best. You know, patients aren't in medical care because they're feeling fantastic. A lot of times they're grumpy, a lot of times they're crabby, and a lot of times they're going to take out that frustration on you. And you have to realize that it's not because of them, or I mean, it's not because of me as a person, it's because they're just not at a situation in which they're happy, you know. And if I can try to improve their quality of life and make them feel value, then I'm doing my job.
Yeah, no, I can relate that experience because, you know, being in the hospital for so long, I tend to do that, you know. But again, you know, immediately I would realize and I would say, excuse me, I'm sorry for that, and that's not real me. And they would realize, they would say, oh, no, no worries, we know. So you're 100% right that yes, those kind of things happen. So you mentioned number one was the planning. Planning is important, guys, for you to really plan ahead, and no plan is planned to fail. So do not make that mistake. Sister Mara is saying that you got to plan it out. Then what was the second one? That you have to act in a professional way. Okay,
Right.
you have to be better than anybody else. You know, you have to make a spot for yourself. You have to really climb up the ladder. You have to go extra mile in order to really get recognized. You know, if something is just sitting there doing regular stuff, you know, that doesn't get recognition. You know, if you have to get recognized, yeah, the company is paying you according to your job description. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can stick to the job description, you know. But if you go ahead and do extra stuff, extra work, you know, you will get recognized. I guarantee you that you will get recognized. And once you get recognized, you know, the money comes, right? And
Right.
the
They tell
title
other
comes.
people about you. So it also
Exactly.
sustains your business.
That's right. The buzz goes around, and you take higher and higher and higher positions in that company. So that's
Or if it's
something
your
that you
own
have to.
company, like you
Yeah,
said, entrepreneurship, it's your own company.
that's
Word of
right.
mouth is free advertising,
Yeah,
and so that's dollars that's going in your pocket that you're not spending on advertising. So if you set that standard high and people are so happy with your services, they're going to tell the other people that are in their industry, they're going to tell their friends, their relatives, wow, this person really knows their stuff, so you should use them over someone else, and that's free advertising.
yeah. And Sister Rabil is watching us. Thank you, Sister Rabil, for joining this show. I really appreciate it. So will Mara.
Hi, Lavelle.
Yeah, Rabil is great. Yeah, she is wonderful. Okay, so we talked about it, and you touched on third point, which is the consistency. Consistency is really important. That you have to be consistent in order to do what you are trying to do. You have to keep going. You have to keep working on what you are planning to do. So that those are the three actionable steps that my sister Mara told you. I completely 100% agree with her that these are the three key things that you have to really do. Now, Sister Mara, in our lives, we have successes and we have the antonyms for successes. Some people tend to agree with that word. Some people don't agree with that word. It's good that they convert that word into a positive way. I like that as well. But again, we cannot divert ourselves from the reality. Where there is success, there is failure,
Sure.
right? I mean, we all agree to that. So some people say that, no, I don't consider that as a failure. I would rather consider it as a lesson. That's fine.
Yep.
That could be a synonym for a failure. That's fine. That's a positive way. That's the half glass full approach. And I like that. And I really advocate for that. But again, failures are part of our lives, right?
Sure.
So nobody is 100% perfect except the God Almighty,
Absolutely.
So now, difficult question for you.
Hmm.
Would you like to share a single most failure in your professional life? What was the lesson learned, and how did you recover from it?
Oh, let me think. This is on the spot too, so it's like harder to like think on the spot. A failure in my professional life.
Yeah, we're talking professional. I know
It's
we're
hard.
not
Like
talking
I,
personal
I
life here
haven't
at
made
all.
many. Like I'm kind of rigid. I guess that's not a failure. I For me, like I was kind of in a management role, like where I'm like running the back clinic, and because of my rigidity and because like I have extremely high standards and I'm kind of inflexible, you know, it made it really hard for my staff to relate to me. And my intentions were good, but unfortunately, sometimes they felt like that I was so mean, but I'm talking about patient safety, and if a staff member is doing something incorrectly and it's going to put my patient at risk, my obligation is to my patient. But unfortunately, it kind of sometimes sacrifices the relationship between me and my staff, which is also important. And so I feel that is kind of a failure because I feel like I was failing to meet the needs of my staff. Um, and over time, like through communication, I was able to say, hey, it's not against you. How I'm approaching it may be wrong. If I'm going in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, talk to me. So I can try to address, those problems and try to look at another way that is a less offensive way to handle it. But in the bottom line is I need to keep my patient safe. And if it's not going to keep my patient safe, I will stop you in the middle because my patient safety comes more than your feelings.
That's right. That's right.
So,
You bet. Your patient safety is number one. So I think you're taking right steps, Mara, in order to communicate openly with your staff, and your staff should really understand. They should understand your role. So you have to describe them your role. Keep reminding them. I think that's really important. And one day you tell them that you will be they will be in your position, right? and they
Right.
will be advocating for their patients. So they will realize that yes, you weren't wrong at all. I mean, that was whatever you were doing, that was part of your job, and
Right.
those were the duties that you had to deliver to
Right.
customer, right?
But
Yeah,
I did learn a lesson. I learned the lesson that I need to more carefully listen to what my staff needs are, and how they're perceiving that action,
right,
because my intention was never to make them feel like frustrated or that like I was picking on them. That wasn't my intention, but that's how they were perceiving it. And so we need to recognize that we need to look at how it affects other people and be open to that criticism in order to develop ourselves.
right, right. So our viewer Karinder Singh is watching us. Thank you so much, Mr. Karinder Singh, for watching our show. If viewers, you have any questions, put them in the comment line, and we will try to answer, whether they are for me or Sister Mara. Sister Mara is here from Wisconsin, all the way from United States, with us today. She's a registered nurse. She's a mom. She runs her own business. She's a business entrepreneur herself. She established her own company, and she's working in the healthcare industry, providing care for her clients. She's the client advocate as well when it comes to their safety and their health. So she's doing a great job. She's doing an awesome job. We really salute her. And she just shared her single most failure. She shared earlier what are the three actionable steps that you can take in order to implement in your entrepreneur business or charity or whatever. I think those are common three steps that anybody can implement in their lives, right? So, Sister Mara, if someone is watching us right now, how they can support you? Everybody needs support, right?
Well, they can support me, I guess. Just if you see it live, say hi, let me know that you're out there, that, or if anything I've ever done, any of the things that I've said have helped you in any way, let me know. Um, Also, the other way that I would say that you can help me is by going out and doing these things for your community, making sure that you're impacting your community in whatever way. For me, like, one of my greatest things that I do is I do volunteer, and for me, that gives me a sense of purpose, and actually, when I worked at the clinic getting paid, I didn't like it nearly as much as when I do it for free. And I did it for July through December of 2016. I did that 50 hours a week for free because they weren't in a position at that time to pay me. And I felt so much more fulfilled when I was doing it for free than when they were paying me. And people can do things in their community, like in Pakistan, look for neighbors that, need grocery shopping, and maybe, their kids aren't around, look for little opportunities in which to serve. It doesn't have to cost you any money, but you can still find ways to help in the community. Ask them, ask the, like, if there's a Quran class and there's kids that are walking alone, say, hey, I'd be happy to like walk your kids to Quran class to make sure that they stay safe. I know that there's been some really bad things happen recently in Pakistan, and I'm sure parents would love that service if they're busy with work, or the mom can't go because she's got to cook dinner. Rather than sending her kids alone, take that responsibility and help someone else.
Cool, cool. So, Sister Mara, have you been to Pakistan? Let me ask you that.
I have. I've been to Lahore, I've been to Murray and Islamabad.
Good, awesome, awesome. So, next question to you is, what is the single most thing that you like the most?
Of Pakistan?
Yes, one thing,
Oh,
one and only one thing.
the best thing about Pakistan is the people.
Good.
The people in Pakistan are probably the most genuine and sincere, loving, and generous people that I've met anywhere. And I will say, like, when I stayed with my ex husband's family, in the 2 weeks that I was living in their home, I feel like I experienced more love in those 2 weeks than a lifetime in America. I mean, it was really impactful. Like, there is no love like an Ami John loving on you. Oh my gosh. Like I'd lay my head on her lap and she would stroke my hair. And like, it radiates from their eyes.
I know.
Like you just can, it's palpable. So that is the single best thing about Pakistan. And I would say, I know you said one, but secondary to the beautiful natural resources that you have within that beautiful country.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. That's awesome. So I think we spoke to you, and I really enjoyed talking to you, Mara,
I
Sister
enjoy
Mara.
talking to you too.
Yeah, it was really awesome, and you're very thoughtful. You're very caring, and I have noticed that on the Facebook. Sometimes, we neglect unintentionally, and I would say completely unintentionally, some comments. But you're so diligent, and you have that eye that you do due diligence, and you see, okay, someone didn't pick up on this question that somebody was asking, and you would take that and put it as a comment, or put it somewhere up there
Sure.
for some other people to answer. That yes, this question remains unanswered. Guys, come on, get on your toes and get the answer for this comment. And
Right.
and I saw that, and thank you very much for that, and keep
Oh,
doing that. It's really awesome.
if
And
if I know the answer, I'm happy to help. And everyone should be like helping each other. Like this
that's right.
this Facebook is a community. And it is always beneficial. Like when we work together. Everything is about teamwork, and when we're caring about each other, that's what we do.
That's right. That's right. So, Sister Mara, it's about time. But before we go, we close down the show. What would be the final word that you would like to share with our viewers?
Um, just keep motivating yourself to try to find a way to serve in a way that is authentic to you. You know, um, so many people follow the dreams of other people, like their parents or what their friends say, and they're not doing what's authentic to them. But when you choose a pathway that's authentic to you, you can never go wrong because you're going to be passionate about it and it's going to radiate through your every action.
Awesome. So viewers, you heard Sister Mara talking about authenticity. She used that word 3 times. That means it carries a weight. All right. So be authentic. Have your own signature, things that you do, and don't really just follow others just for following sake. You got to make your own decision. You got to make your own thunder, and be authentic. That should be original, and that should be pursued upon. So again, Sister Mara, thank you so much for your time. I really I admire your insight and your thoughts, and your impromptu answers to my difficult questions. I hope I didn't put you in a bad position.
No, not at all.
So thank you so much for being with us, viewers. Sister Mara was with us, and so would you like to say goodbye to the viewers, Sister Mara?
Thank you for coming and listening to me. I hope that I was able to maybe answer some of your questions. If you guys do have questions that you didn't ask here, feel free to send me a message. I'm happy to try to answer it. But thank you for coming. I really appreciate being here. Thank you, Ajaz. That was very nice of you to invite me to the show.
Thank you so much, Sister Mara. It was a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. We had Sister Mara with us today. She is an awesome person. She's a registered nurse from Wisconsin, United States. She has a great sense of responsibility. She's entrepreneur herself. She does social work, helping patients, helping people out there in the community. She's a volunteer. Volunteer is something that gives her satisfaction. She said she loves to volunteer. She prefers volunteering work over the paid work. She doesn't enjoy the paid
Not
work
that I
as
don't
much as
enjoy
she does.
paid work, but I prefer it as a volunteer.
Prefer exactly. That's what I was trying to say. That yes, she enjoys paid work, but she enjoys more volunteer work than the paid work. I know the paid work is important for us to keep our kitchen running. That's important. All right, viewers. This is Dr. Ijaz Qureshi, your host from Toronto, Canada. Stay blessed and take care of yourself and the people around you. Until we come with another esteemed guest, saying goodbye. Take care.